Hey guys, it's me, William with Scamming Scammers Action and the Facebook page and the YouTube channel Scamming Scammers. So I was having a little technical difficulties with getting online. It wasn't loading correctly, so I had to restart. So I hope I didn't lose you guys on the live feed. I apologize. We're definitely having issues with Facebook. So want to touch base on a few things before we start the Q&A. First of all, Facebook, let's talk about it. It's not working. Our inbox has not worked properly for 7 days now. We're only getting half of your messages. Sometimes we can't even look at your messages, and then sometimes the messages just disappear. We've had people writing to us and saying, hey, I wrote to you guys 4 days ago, you're not responding. I've had people write in and say, I can't see your message, all kinds of crazy stuff. So if we haven't responded to you within 24 hours, just know that it is a Facebook glitch, because we usually respond to people right away. Anna and myself work the page every single day. So if you're not able to see our messages or we're not responding to you, that's why. There's some kind of glitch going on with Facebook. I had a glitch trying to get on the live feed. It took me to a whole different page. So just be aware. It's not our fault. We're trying to answer messages. We're trying to help you guys, but Facebook's messing up pretty bad. So I don't know if Facebook's got coronavirus or what, but it's not working right. So thanks for being patient and bearing with us. Hi to everybody in the chat. Hi to everybody who's joining us. Really appreciate you guys coming out for our May Q&A on Facebook. We did a Q&A last week on YouTube, which went fairly well, but we're going to do one on Facebook as well, because people have been asking us to do it. And so we're going to start. Appreciate you guys coming out. I need to address a few things before we get started with our questions. We had a lot of people write in some questions, and if you guys have questions and you want me to answer them, I'm happy to answer them in the chat as well. So just ask them, and if I miss it, I'll try to catch it, or ask it again and I'll answer it. So thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate it. Besides Facebook not working, a couple things that have been going on. I did play with our Instagram page. We do have an Instagram page called Scamming Scammers Action. It's not something that Anna and myself are going to want to use all the time, but we will post Q&A information on there, and just some information if you guys want it. But again, Facebook is our main place that we interact with everybody and post everything. So I appreciate you guys coming out for this. We'll get started in a minute. One more thing I want to touch on before we answer questions and get into a few things. I did a post the other day about racism, and here's the problem that we're having is I had a lady come to the inbox that absolutely screamed, yelled at me, said, you're the most racist page on this platform. You guys are only known for racism. She was going bananas. And basically what I told her is the same thing I'm going to tell you guys. We get thousands of comments every day on this page. Sometimes we can't even see the comments. We get glitches. We get all kinds of things happening. So I just ask you guys to please be mindful in not posting racist comments or using derogatory comments towards another race. Don't post photos of a man with an afro on fire, or don't post photos of monkeys and say MF scammers and things like that. Please don't do that, because scamming and romance scamming, it has nothing to do with the skin color. There's scammers from all over the world, and in fact, yesterday I helped a lady whose scammer was American and from the U.S. So they come from all over. So I appreciate you guys just not posting anything racist. And I like I've said before, I banned about 12, 13 people yesterday just for that. So just wanted to say that, get it out there. Please don't post racist things. Anna and myself are not racist people. We have friends all over the world. I have really good friends from Ghana and from Nigeria. So don't be stupid and post stupid stuff. So with that being said, let's get started. Appreciate you guys again coming out. I'm wearing hats because no barbershops are open, so I've got my quarantine hair going. I tried to cut my own hair like 2 weeks ago, and it didn't fare very well, so that's why I got a hat on. All right, we'll get started with some questions that you guys wrote in and want some answers to. The first question somebody asked was, what should I do if a scammer got into my bank account? So this happens a lot. People, get romanced by a fake profile, and the scammer will say, oh, I want to send you money. I want to help you. Give me your bank details. And so people will give out their bank details. And what happens is a scammer gets into bank accounts. And so sometimes what they'll do is they'll get into it and they'll use it to filter money. They'll put money in from another victim and then they'll take it out and put it in their account, or they'll filter the money through. And basically your account's being used for fraud. So what you should do, the first thing you should do, if you've given a scammer your password, your bank information, if you're able to change your password, if you're able to lock the scammer out of your account, do so online if you can do it, or through your phone app, or however you do your banking. If you're not able to, okay, let's say the scammer has gotten into your account, he's locked you out of your account, he's changed your password, you need to go to your bank right away. You need to go to your bank right away and let them know what's going on. Be honest. Don't make up stories. Don't say, oh, I don't know what happened. Just be honest and say, hey, I gave someone my bank information. He's locked me out of it, and I need help. And what they'll do is they'll close the account, and if there's any fraud on it, you at least have that fraud report. So that's the first thing you need to do, is contact your bank. You don't yell at the scammer. You don't, go running around going, I'm going to get you. What you need to do is go to your bank, call your bank, whatever you have to do, and get that account closed, because the quicker you get it closed, the better it's going to be for you, because it stops all the fraudulent activity that the scammer is doing on your account. So thanks everyone joining the chat. Brian, where's my mask? My mask is in the other room next to my car keys. So I do wear a mask when I go out in public, and the reason being is because I don't know if I might have COVID, and I don't want to give it to your grandma at the grocery store. So my mask I do have a mask, and it's a custom-made mask that a page friend actually made for me and mailed it to me. So I appreciate it. Charlotte, I've been getting tons of scammers on Instagram. It is. Instagram is bad. Remember that Instagram is owned by Facebook and WhatsApp. So they're all linked together, and it can be very hard because Facebook, as we know, kind of supports scammers in their platform. They let them scam. I mean, it's nearly impossible sometimes to get fake profiles that are blatantly fake removed from Facebook. The same with Instagram. It's owned by the same entity, the same people, the same bots. So unfortunately, it can be hard to get them removed. I've had issues with Instagram, and it's just a haven for scammers. Janice, can you explain Bitcoin? I sure can, and we're going to actually be making a video about Bitcoin and Bitcoin scammers, because so many people are really not sure what Bitcoin is. So first of all, let's start. Bitcoin is online currency. So it's basically, it's money without you touching it. It's an online currency, and what it is you will use your bank account to open a Bitcoin account online, and it's done through online websites like Chain Wallet. And what they do is a scammer will ask you to open up a Bitcoin account. So they'll say, dear, go to Chain Wallet and open up an account. And what you do is you open up the account similar to how you'd open up any online account. And when you open a Bitcoin account, what you do is you link it to your checking account, your banking account. So you have your Bitcoin account, and then you have your checking account, which it's linked to. You can buy Bitcoin. You can buy this virtual currency. So what scammers do is they have you open these accounts. It's linked to your bank account, and they'll say, dear, I'm going to put $1,500 into your Bitcoin account. Then you would take that money, and they'd say, well, take it out and put it in your bank account. So you're cashing the Bitcoin out. And then they'll want you to take that money that's in your bank account and send it to them. And so that's what they do. And it's just a form of online currency. And Bitcoin is great if you want to buy stuff online and you don't want to put your credit card number in. You just tap Bitcoin and pay with Bitcoin. And it's like a little savings account online for you. Unfortunately, what comes with Bitcoin is scammers, because the currency on a Bitcoin, you get an account number, and it's very hard to trace where Bitcoins are going, where they're coming from. Bitcoin actually started, it's kind of like an underground online currency in the beginning. It was used online to buy illegal things that you couldn't buy with your Visa card. And so what it's become now is a haven for scammers to take victims, have them use their Bitcoins, and use their bank account to filter all this money. And they'll transfer, they'll put money in your checking account, have you transfer it to Bitcoin, and then take that Bitcoin and transfer it to them. And it's an easier way for scammers to get their money without having to go to Western Union, without having to show ID, without having to do a whole lot of nothing. And that's why a lot of them use Bitcoin now. It's the new Western Union in the scammer world. So Bitcoins are the go-to payment, along with gift cards. Gift card is the same as cash. Patricia, explain about all these different phone numbers. I'm assuming you mean phone numbers. Hi to everyone that's coming in. I see you guys saying hello. I don't want to ignore you. So if we're talking about phone numbers, Depending on what you mean. Now, if you're talking about, you're talking to a guy online and he's from Florida and he has 5 phone numbers, one from Florida, one from California, one from Indiana. Phone numbers are easy to obtain. So what scammers do is they go to websites like TextNow or even Gmail, and they open a Gmail account, and then they want a phone number. You can go to textnow.com, enter a free email address, pick a state you want to be from. It generates a phone number. And so that's what scammers are doing. And so they'll have a phone number from, say, Florida. They make a fake profile, and their fake profile is from Miami. They have a phone number to go with it. The reality of it is you're not actually calling that phone number. What you're doing is you're calling an app, and that app has generated a phone number for them. So a lot of victims will think they're calling a scammer. I talked to him, he's from Florida, and I called him on his Florida number, and he picked up the phone. What you did is you called a free voicemail number. The scammer picked that he wanted to be from Florida. When you call that number, it calls into an app. I use the app to bait scammers. And when you call into the app, what happens is, and a lot of people don't know this, is your caller ID comes up on their app. So if you call someone you don't know, a man you met online, and he gave you a phone number, and you call him with your home number, your cell phone number, he's going to get your name, all the information that's on your phone as far as what your name is and your phone number. So there's a caller ID feature on these free phone numbers, and that's another reason why they use them. We've had people say, I called this man and I don't know how he got my number. Well, it's because you called him and you called into an app, and the app told you. The app told the scammer what your number is. Janice, I was asked to put money into a Bitcoin, and then can that person get into my personal account? Yes. You have to remember that Bitcoin accounts are linked to your bank account. So if you opened a Bitcoin account for a scammer, you didn't know he was a scammer, you opened the account. You linked it to your bank account because it'll ask you. You have to link it to a bank account. A lot of times what happens is a scammer will say, give me your Bitcoin login information, dear. I'm going to put money for you, or I'm going to help you. Once they get into that, they can see your bank information. It's the same method as scammers that ask to pay your phone bill for you. And so they say, well, dear, give me your Verizon login details. They get in there. They can see your credit card info. They can see your payment info. They can see your bank info. They can order phones. So if anyone's, asking you to open a Bitcoin account, deposit money, open a bank account, any of that, just block them instantly, because it's a scammer. No matter what the story is, no matter what the excuse is, it's going to be a scammer. This comes down to being logical. If you were at the grocery store and a man came up behind you and said, oh, dear, you're so beautiful, would you open a bank account for me? You wouldn't do it. So do the same online. If someone online approaches you and they're talking to you and they like you and they want to date you, don't open a Bitcoin, don't open a bank account for them, and don't give them your information. The same reality online is the same as in person. You don't give out that kind of information to people you don't know. And, just because you met somebody online and they claim they love you, it doesn't mean that you know who they are. You have no idea who that person is. And normal people don't ask for your bank information. They don't ask you to deposit things in their account. They don't ask you to, say, hey, I'm having trouble with my check. Can I send money to you and you cash it out? You don't do that. So don't do it online. It's even, less safe online. So next question we had, someone wrote in, have you ever had a scammer stalk a victim for years? Yes. We've had victims of romance scams who, let's say they were scammed in 2017. They're coming to us in 2020 and saying, hey, that scammer that's, scammed me 3 years ago, 4 years ago, even 5 years ago, has come back and he's harassing me now. They do. What scammers do is, once you've given money, or once you've given a gift card or whatever, opened a bank account, whatever, it doesn't matter if you ended the relationship and you block the scammer, they still have your information and they hang on to it. And they give it to other scammers, and they give it to other friends, and they say, hey, try this lady, try this guy, I got an iTunes gift card from her. And they do come back. Scammers, it's hard to explain, but scamming to a scammer is a job. So this is a job. You guys are clients. So they keep your information, just like somebody who was, ran a business and kept their clients' information, their customers' information. They do keep your stuff. They do hang on to it. They come back years later. They also give it to friends of theirs so the friends can try and have a crack at you. So, yeah, I've had, Anna and myself have had, victims of romance scams who, came back couple years later and the scammer came back and wanted to get to know them again, or said, oh, I'm sorry, I scammed you, I want to be your friend. They do. They come back. They always come back. They're treating you like a client, like a customer, and that's just the way they are. Next question we had was a page regular that asked us last time and I missed it. Are all sugar baby messages fake? I received a message on my Plenty of Fish account, but I have no mention of wanting to be a sugar baby in my profile. Being in my mid-40s and an overweight woman, I don't think I'm the type of person that someone would just randomly propose it to. So this is kind of a newer type of scam that's happening online. Instead of romance scams, we have sugar baby, sugar daddy scams. And what's happening is scammers will create a fake profile. Most times it's an older man or an older woman photo that they use. Like, I'll give you an example. They'll use a photo of Stuart James. We all know Stuart James, or Dr. Pinto, my favorite. And they'll come and they'll message people and they'll say, hey, I want to be your sugar baby. You want to be my sugar baby? I'll be your sugar daddy. I want to give you an allowance. And what they do is they'll come to you and they will say, I want to give you $500 a week. Give me your bank information. And basically what they want is your bank information. And so they will use your bank account as a vessel to commit fraud. And so yes, they may give you $500 a week, but they're using your bank account and they're transferring thousands of dollars in it and sending it out. They're also just asking for your bank password information, and they get in, they lock you out, they take your money, end of scam. There's a couple ways it works. At the end of the day, no, people that message you randomly saying they are sugar daddies or want to be my sugar baby, I'm a sugar mama, if they're just randomly messaging you off a dating site, a normal dating site, it's going to be a scammer. It's always a scammer. They target men, they target women, they target, people that are looking for a same-sex relationship. They target everybody. They don't care. There are websites that, it's considered a fetish, and there are websites that do cater to sugar daddies and sugar baby type of relationships. But if you're getting a message on POF or Facebook from some random person who wants to be your sugar daddy, it's always going to be a scammer, and they're just trying to access your bank account or use you as a money mule. There's a couple different ways, but that's definitely what they're trying to do. So, hi to everyone that's coming in the chat. If I miss something, I apologize. You can always write it again. The chat goes really super fast, and sometimes I miss questions. But yeah, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them, and I'll answer as many as I can tonight. I'm not going to do a super long Q&A, but I'll try to get everybody's questions that were written in. I don't know about the group called Black Axe. I haven't heard of them. There's so many groups out there. People come to us and say, hey, did you know this group is talking about you? Or hey, did you know this? I have no idea. Anna and myself don't frequent a lot of other anti-scam pages. We're kind of like a lone wolf when it comes to our own page, and I have a few friends that run anti-scam pages, and they're great. There's some great pages out there, but we don't interact or work with or go to other pages really and look and see what they're doing. We just kind of do our own thing. I've had a couple people come to me and say, hey, so-and-so was talking about you guys last week, and I have no idea. I've had about 5 or 6 people, and myself have come to the inbox this week and told us that our page was mentioned on the show 90 Day Fiancé. Apparently, the tell-all part of the show, someone leaked it, and I guess our page name was mentioned on the show. I don't know a whole lot of information about it, but I've had several people come to us and say, hey, I saw you guys on the TLC show, and I said, well, okay, thanks. And when I find out more details about it and find out what's going on about it, I'll let you guys know. But as far as right now, I have no idea what people are talking about. But if we're mentioned on the show, great. I mean, the more people we can help, the better. So, Sharon has a question. Do scammers work in a team? Yeah, they do. Scammers, it depends. I mean, we've heard other anti-scam pages say, oh, they always work in teams. They never work alone, and that's not true. Some scammers work in teams. It depends. Some of them work in groups. Some of them work in shifts. So you'll have 4 scammers in one room, and they each are using the same profile. So you can talk to, a fake profile at 5 in the morning, and he tell you his whole life story, and you tell them your life story. And at 2 in the afternoon, you can talk to that same profile, and they don't know nothing about you, or oh, tell me about yourself, and you're thinking, just talked to you a few hours back. They do work in teams. They do work the same profile. They work in groups, but they also work by themselves. And a lot of scammers are actually competitive against other scammers, and you'll have scammers trying to steal a victim away from another scammer. It happens quite often, and it causes a huge rift with them, but they do try it. They do try it, and yeah, they work in teams, absolutely. And some of them do work in big groups. You know, you'll have 20 or 30 of them. Um, you know, in a internet cafe or in a house, and there'll be 20 laptops and 20 scammers, and they all work together. And they, you know, it's kind of like a, you know, hey, let's all get the rent money together. So they all work different profiles or the same profile, but absolutely they work in scams. So, how do you catch a scammer? You know what? Um, it's hard. We've had victims come to us and say, "Hey, I know where my money went. It went to Ghana. It went to this man. I have his phone number. I have his address. I have his real photos. Why can't you catch him?" The problem is these countries, and we've touched on this before, places like Nigeria, Ghana, you know, the Ivory Coast, India, Pakistan, even Afghanistan. We've had scammers from Iraq. Um, they're hard to catch because of a corruption. You know, if you're in a country like the Ivory Coast and you lost, you know, $10,000 to a scammer in the Ivory Coast, and you contact their police and they say, "No, oh well," that's kind of what happens. There's a lot of corruption. There's a lot of police officers that scam in those countries, and just really with the amount of poverty and the amount of, you know, funding, they don't have the ability to go arrest them. You know, you'll see some scammers that are arrested for big money scamming, but the majority of them, $100 here, $200 here, the police don't go after them. There's no real way to catch and arrest a scammer. I mean, we encourage people to file reports with IC3 and with Interpol, but don't expect action. And that's where people get irritated with us, is they say, "Hey, I filed this report with the FBI and nobody has arrested him yet." They probably won't get arrested. The way that we find the real faces of scammers is usually through payment details. They'll usually give out their real name or something, and then we can find them that way, or their real phone number. Sometimes scammers just leave their photos open on their fake profiles. They use their real profile. They change the photo, the profile photo and the name, but they use their real profile to scam, and they don't close off their albums. That's usually how we find their real faces. Do scammers use the same page and name? Sometimes. It just depends. Every scammer is different. Every scammer is different. They do different things. Everyone works differently. And they're from all over too. I mean, we've had people bring us payment details in Turkey, and they say, "Well, it can't be a scammer. It's in Turkey." Well, there's scammers in Turkey too. There's scammers all over, and there are scammers in the Congo. We've actually caught a couple of scammers from the Congo that we're romance scamming. It's prevalent all over. You know, people get this kind of ignorant notion that they think it's all Nigeria and Ghana, but it's not. There's scammers. We've been catching tons of scammers in Afghanistan, of all places, in Bangladesh, scammers in India. They're very huge in India right now. Pakistan, they're all over. You know, we have scammers in the UAE. We have scammers all over. But the problem is a lot of the early romance scamming started in places like Nigeria and Ghana, but what it's gone to is all these other different countries. So you'll have, you know, like I said, I caught about half a dozen scammers from Afghanistan this week scamming. You know, internet's pretty much all over. So yeah, there's scammers in the Congo. We've had scammers from Kenya. We've had them from every corner of the world, the USA. We had a victim yesterday or day before bring a profile, and he's American. He's using his real name, his real photos, his real payment information, but he's using the excuses of my kid's with a nanny in the UK, I'm on an oil rig. So Americans are doing the same as well. It's not as prevalent, but Americans do scam, and they're doing the same as what all the scammers are doing, unfortunately. The only good thing about that scammer in particular is the police in North Carolina, where he's from, have taken an interest in the case. So hopefully he'll get actually caught for what he's doing. Next question we have is, I sent a man I was talking to online a couple pictures of myself, just headshots, nothing X-rated or anything. Do I need to be worried now because I found out he's a scammer? What do they do with these photos? Why do they ask for them? It's a good question. So scammers sometimes, most of the time, when you talk to somebody online and they're using a fake profile, they'll say to you, "Send me some photos of yourself, dear." There's a couple reasons why they do this. The first reason is they'll Google your photos that you send them, and to make sure that you're not baiting them. Because like myself, and myself, we bait scammers to show you guys what they say and what they do. So a scammer will take your photos and run them through Google Photo Search or TinEye, just like you would do, to make sure you're real. The second reason they do it is what they'll do is later in the relationship, give it a week, give it a month, give it a day, depending on how fast they work, they'll take your photo and they'll take their photo, their stolen photo, and they'll put them together on a photo collage with a big heart and say together forever or some garbage, and they'll send it to you. And it's a way to emotionally manipulate you to make you think, oh, this man really loves me. And so they kind of set that up early. They will ask for your photos and they'll hang on to them so that they can use them later to make a photo collage and say, you're my heartbeat, dear. And they'll send you the photo of, his head and your head together with a heart. And that's kind of why they do it. What can we do when we discover who the scammer is? It depends. If you've lost money, it depends on where the money went. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's just say you were talking to somebody online, you sent money to Lagos, Nigeria, you found out who the scammer is, you have all the payment details, you have all the information, you know who they are. You can send it over to the EFCC. As long as you have all the information, you can send it over to IC3. It doesn't hurt to file these things, but like I've said before, don't get your hopes up thinking that, okay, I sent all this information over, now they're going to come and arrest my scammer within a week and it's going to all be done, because most times nothing happens other than they file the report. But they do keep reports, and if they get a lot of reports of the same scammer doing the same things, they might go after them. That's the best thing you can do is give the information to law enforcement. It doesn't hurt to do it, it doesn't cost you anything, and it might help. So that's what you should do if you find out who the scammer is and where they're at. That's what you should do. Expose them. Expose them to law enforcement. It's not going to hurt you any. Charlotte, scammers also search your information on Facebook, and then they use it to get your trust. I had a scammer a few years ago that said he was from my home city, and he almost got me. They do. Some scammers, now not all of them, because some of them are kind of stupid, but the really good ones, they will search your information. They'll say, oh, I found this woman named Charlotte. She's from Oklahoma City. So I'm going to Google everything about Oklahoma City. I'm going to find a house for rent in Oklahoma City and say I live there. I'm going to Google the best tourist attractions. I'm going to check. And then they present themselves to you and say, I'm from that city. They do their research. Some scammers are really good. Does military ever need anything from us, Rebecca? No. No, they don't. The military, people join the military, we've said this before, when you join the military, you get medical care. It's paid for. You get paid first and the 15th. It used to be, it might have changed, but it's usually twice a month, first and the 15th. Your family is taken care of. Your kids are covered under TRICARE. You're covered under TRICARE, so you don't have to, oh, I need surgery. You go and have that surgery. The military, when you're enlisted and you're employed, whatever, you're fed. You have snacks, you have food, you have water, you have juice, you have cola, you have everything you need. And people join the military because they offer all these great benefits. So if you're talking to somebody online and they say, oh, I'm in the military, but I'm starving and I haven't eaten in 5 days, it's a scammer. It's a scammer. Real military men don't need anything from you at all. At all. And, military romance scams, that's the biggest type of scam, is military scammers, military photos, military profiles, and then they romance scam you. Those are the biggest type of scams going, is ones that present themselves as military. And what happens is a lot of victims, like, if you're from, somewhere that you don't know how the military works, you believe it. And so that's why there are so many victims of military romance type of scams. And it happens quite a lot. Next question we had is, why do scammers using fake profiles say they work on oil rigs? I see so many oil rig profiles. Is there a reason behind this? There absolutely is. I've had, and myself, been working the page. If we get 100 messages in a day, 40 of them, 50 of them, oh, he works on an oil rig. So there's a couple reasons why they use oil rig. They use oil rig and they use engineer. They use oil rig engineer. They use, all kinds of stuff. So we'll talk about oil rigs. The reason they use oil rigs, it's a very popular scam. It's been going on for a long time. That's a profession that they always say. A couple reasons for it. The first reason, they can be out on the oil rig out in the ocean. So, oh, I'm unable to call you on video, dear, because it's forbidden, which it's not. Oh, I can't call you on the phone because we're out in the middle of the ocean. It's an excuse. Another reason they say it is it's an excuse to be away. oh, I'm in the middle of the ocean in the high seas, dear, and my child is sick and I can't get to them. Can you send me money to fly home? Can you send me money for my kid's surgery? It's an excuse to be away. Another reason they do it is they'll say, well, I'm on the oil rig and I need money to come home. You'd have to send the money to the agent in Florida or in India or wherever. So they'll say, well, I can't pick up the money myself. My name is Bob Smith, but my agent, Sally Jones that lives in Florida, who's probably a money mule, can pick up the money for me, dear. It's an excuse. And they use it. They often tell victims, oh, I'm on the oil rig. I'll be on here for 6 months and then I'll come and see you. And during that time, they'll romance you and ask you for gift cards and different things. And a lot of people don't know enough about oil rig workers to know how it works. Oil rig workers don't stay on oil rigs for months and years. They don't, we've had scammers tell victims that, oh, I've been on the oil rig, dear, for 5 years. It doesn't work that way. 14 days on. Some countries it's 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off, but it's never longer than, 20 days, 21 days at the most. And that's the most. So if you're talking to somebody online who's an oil rig worker and he says, I've been on the rig now for 6 months, dear, and I can't video chat because if I video chat, it'll blow up the oil rig. You're talking to a scammer 100%. So, and if you see oil rig and someone friends you with oil rig, it's a red flag right there. Just really consider not accepting their friendship. Just, based on a complete stranger working on an oil rig is not going to suddenly friend you. Unless you know somebody in that industry or know somebody that's working, they're not going to friend you. Hi, everyone. Hi, Mitzi. Hi, everyone that's just joining us. Thanks for coming in. And if you have any questions, as I said, feel free to ask them. I'm going to cover a couple more questions that were in our inbox. Next question we had is, I'm talking to a man online who claims to be an engineer. We met on Instagram. His profile vanished one day, but we kept in touch on WhatsApp. When I asked him what happened to his profile, he said he was hacked and the hackers deleted his profile. He made another one on Instagram, but that one was gone within a couple days. He said he was hacked again. He says everyone has their profile hacked. Why does his profile keep vanishing? Is it being hacked or something else? So we'll discuss that. What scammers do is they create a fake profile and they'll say that they were hacked when their profile disappears. What actually happens is if you create a fake profile, and even sometimes this happens with people that create a new profile, Facebook, Instagram, they're going to ask you to verify your profile. And what they typically do is they ask you to show your driver's license or your passport to prove your name matches and your birth date matches the information that you've put on your profile. Well, if you're a fake, if you put, I'm Bob Jones, I'm an engineer, on Instagram, and Instagram asks you for your ID to verify who you are, well, if you're not Bob Jones and you weren't born September 1st, 1965, you're not going to keep that profile. Facebook, Instagram, whatever entity, they're going to remove that profile. And so what scammers do is they say, I've been hacked. And so they'll ask you to go to WhatsApp. And they'll keep you on WhatsApp because WhatsApp's harder to get kicked off of. You don't have to prove your birth date or your face or anything on WhatsApp. So they'll lose their profile, but they'll have you on WhatsApp. And they'll say, oh, dear, my profile was hacked. I'll make another one. They create another one. And what happens is they've created another new profile, likely with the same IP address. And Instagram, Facebook, they flagged it. And so they'll do the same thing. They'll deactivate the profile, ask them for ID. They can't provide the ID. So scammers will say, I've been hacked. People don't typically get hacked. I mean, it's rare. And the only time people get hacked is if you give away your profile password, or if an ex or somebody's being vindictive and they get into your profile. But the normal everyday person doesn't get hacked. I've had the same Facebook profile for 12 years. I've never been hacked. Anne's had her profile for like 8 years. She's never been hacked. It's not something that happens all the time. And so when you're talking to somebody online and their photos keep disappearing, their account keeps disappearing, and they keep telling you, I've been hacked. They haven't been hacked. They've just had their profile removed from the platform, and they're asking for verification. They can't provide that verification. So that's the reason why they keep saying they're hacked. It's not a typical thing. It really isn't. Joanne, sending profiles of their child having an accident in another country with no way to pay for the hospital. Oh, your English is fine. It's great. And they do. Um, you know, they do that. They'll send photos of a child in the hospital and say, my child's had an accident. And they do that to pull at the heartstrings of people, because most people see an injured child and they want to help them. And so that's why scammers do that. And they'll say, oh, you got to pay for the fees, or the doctor, or let the doctor email you. It's all a scam. It's 100% a scam. Facebook and Instagram have never asked me to verify who I am. Why? Probably because nobody's ever reported your profile as being suspicious. If you're not, doing anything weird with it, they probably won't ask. It depends. It's really kind of random, because I had a few years ago, they suspended my account and asked for my ID, gave it to them. I am who I say I am, and then they gave me my profile back within a couple hours. It just depends. It just really depends. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. But usually if your profile is older, 5 years older or more, they typically won't even ask, because they know you've been on there. And if you have a lot of photos and a lot of friends and a lot of interaction on your profile, typically they don't ask. It just depends. And it's at random. It's totally at random. Military, oil rig, pets and kids pictures are all suspicious. Very few pictures are also suspicious. Lots of foreign friends. It depends. So yeah, if you're talking to a military guy and his profile photo is G.I. Joe military dude in the army uniform with his gun, and then his wallpaper is a puppy with a bow on it, it's a scammer. Real military guys don't have that kind of stuff on their profile. But I will say, very few pictures, it doesn't necessarily mean it's suspicious, because you may not be able to see everything. I'll tell you about my profile. My profile, you can only see my whatever profile photo I have up and my wallpaper. That's all you can see. And I've had my profile for over a decade. I have everything set to friends only. So unless you're my friend, and if you were my Facebook friend, you'd see I have over 30,000 photos on my profile. But since you're not my Facebook friend, all you can see on mine is a background and a photo. And that's it. And half the time I don't even use my photo as my wallpaper or as my profile. I'll use a comic or cartoon just to deter people. But if you are friends with them and all you can see is, let's say you friend a person in their military and all you can see is 3 photos and they're all women from Thailand liking the photos, then yeah, it's definitely a scammer. Real military guys have hundreds of friends, and they're not targeting, they don't have just 5 women friends from Thailand and it's a military guy from Texas. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a fake. And it's no need to be embarrassed being scammed. You're a victim of a crime. We tell people that all the time. You're a victim of a crime. You're not at fault. It's not your fault. Can you be hacked on Facebook? You can. But it's not prevalent. You can be hacked on any social media, but if you're talking to somebody online who keeps opening profiles and keeps saying, I've been hacked, something's wrong, and if your profile is reported and you're a real person, if you show your ID typically, and if your ID and birth date and all that information matches, your profile is back up again. So if like I said, you're talking to somebody online and they keep saying, I've been hacked, dear, let's talk on Hangouts, then it's definitely a scammer for sure. Next question we have. Why can't you find my scammer's real face with the information I gave you? I don't understand. You find others. Fair enough. So we have victims come to us all the time and say, I want to know who I was talking to. And so we'll ask, well, what information do you have? Do you have a phone number? Yes. And they'll give a phone number and it'll be a free voicemail number. So that's not going to lead us anywhere. I have their email. Okay, what's their email? It's a Gmail. Well, Gmail it doesn't lead anywhere. If you check the IP on a Gmail address, 99% of the time it comes back to California, because that's where Google home base is located. All their emails go back to Mountain View, California. So we ask payment details. Where'd you send money? Oh, I sent gift cards. There's no way to trace that. Well, where else did you send money? Oh, I sent money to a lady in Iowa. It's not the lady in Iowa. That'll be a money mule. So it's difficult when we don't have a lead. If you gave me, I sent money to blah, blah, blah in Lagos, Nigeria, I'd say, well, let me try and find them. Or if you tell me, I have a +234 or +233 phone number, or a phone number in Italy or a phone number in India, I say, great, let me try to run it. And Anna and myself will go through and try to check it. Oftentimes a phone number can lead to a person's real profile, and that's how we find a lot of the scammers. Does he have a profile link? Oh, no, he deactivated it. There's no way to find them. And people get frustrated with us. They want to see the real face, and the only other outlet when all of those have been extinguished is to try and contact the scammer with a bait profile, try to get him to talk to Betty or one of our characters, and see if he'll give up information, or we can get a video chat, or we can get a voice chat and tell him we'll send money. And we kind of use some tricks to do it, but it's hard. It's hard to catch the scammers. It's hard sometimes to find their real faces. Kathy, based on your experience, are there proof or a case where victims were able to get their money back? It's a good question, and I want to address that. And that was actually my little prompts here. Let's talk about this. So in all the years that Anna and myself have done this, and she's been doing it since 2013, I've been doing it since 2014. And prior to me doing this type of work, I worked on a different kind of security with internet, and baiting other types of people that weren't scammers, but they were just as bad. In all the years we've done this, we've only seen a handful of victims who have gotten their money back. Now, keep in mind, we talk to probably 200 people a day. And out of all these years, thousands of people we've helped, we've had maybe 5 or 6 that we've known that have gotten their money back. The reason they got their money back was one of a few reasons. They did a wire transfer through Western Union. They just did it, and the scammer had not picked the money up yet. So we told the victim, get onto Western Union, cancel it. And they canceled it before the scammer picked the money up. So they got their money back. Same with MoneyGram and Walmart to Walmart. That's the only times is they were able to grab it before it was picked up. The only other way, bank transfer. They did a bank transfer, and they transferred a lot of money. And it took a little waiting period, 3 days, 4 days, for that bank transfer to go through. So the victim called their bank and said, cancel that transfer, cancel that, and they did, and they were able to get their money back. Another way it happened, we had a victim that sent like $100,000, and they sent it via bank transfer. And so we told them, call the bank. And they said, well, the money has already gone through to the other account, but their bank got in touch with the bank, I think it was in Turkey or somewhere, and they freeze that account. And after about a month, the bank sent the money back. So those are the only ways that we've seen victims get their money back. The way you will not get your money back is if somebody says, hey, I know a friend that works for the FBI, or I know someone that works for the special organization that gets money back for victims. That's a scam. There is no special groups, no special law enforcement, no organization that will get your money back for you. And when people do say that, it's a reload scam. And what a reload scam is a scammer who has already scammed you may come back as a law enforcement official or some other entity and say, hey, I can get your money back. It'll cost you $400, but I can get your money back. That's always a scam. So yeah, there has been instances where, victims have gotten their money back, but it's very rare. And it's only a matter of they were at the right place at the right time. The scammer hadn't picked the money up yet, and they were able to stop it. But otherwise, no. And keep in mind that scammers will grab that money faster than anything, and they spend it. So, if you sent $1,000 via Western Union, that thirsty scammer is picking that money up, and they're spending it faster than you can say hello. So, but yeah, I mean, there has been people that have got their money back, but it's extremely, extremely rare. R. Jane Johnson, if I send you all this information, can you do anything? I mean, if you have information, you can inbox it to us. I can take a look, and I can kind of tell you what you can do with it or what you can't do with it. I mean, Anna and myself are happy to look at anything you have. We'll take a look at it and try to guide you in the right direction. With that being said, like we've told people before, we're not law enforcement. We can't stop scammers. We can't hack scammers. We don't do any of that stuff. We're just here purely for education. But we have helped victims in the past that have been victimized by a scammer, get them on the right direction to what they need to do. We've helped people that had sent money, and we advised them on what to do. They were able to stop the transfer, get their money back. So, we'll take a look at whatever you got. Whatever you want to send, inbox it, and we're happy to look at it. Aaron, I don't understand how anyone could be so senseless to send money to someone you don't know. Here's the thing, Aaron. We've had victims. We had a politician who was a victim, and she was a very, very, very well-known politician. If I said her name, you would know who she is. She sent money to a scammer. and she came to us about 3 years ago. Very educated, very well prominent person, very, successful. We've had doctors, we've had politicians, we've had all kinds of people. The thing of it is with a scammer, is scammers fill a void for some people. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you are 50 years old, you were married to the same man for 30 years, you had 2 great children with him, and he died. And you don't know how to live your life. You're empty, you're lost, you're sad, you're confused, you're depressed, hey, nothing's left to live for. You go online for entertainment, you go online for whatever. And here comes this guy that fills that void in your life that you've been missing. He tells you things that you haven't heard since your husband died. He tells you this story. If you're a woman that, let's say, always wanted to have kids and you couldn't have children, and you meet a man that has a beautiful little girl, and her mother died, and she's looking for a mommy, and you love this man and you want to be this new stepmother or whatever. They find a way. They find your weakness emotionally, and they find a way to capitalize on that. So if you're a childless lady who always wanted children, that scammer is going to tell you, oh dear, I have a 5-year-old daughter named Emily, and she's so sad because her mommy died. And that pulls at your heartstrings. And so a lot of times scammers use that to convince people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. And that's how they do it. They play on your emotions, and they play on your vulnerability. People say scammers are stupid, and yeah, some of them are. We had a guy last week that was using a blow-up doll for a photo. But we have scammers that are almost like psychological analysts. They get into your head, and they know what to say, they know what to do. And, otherwise educated and smart people fall victim. And it happens all the time. It honestly does. And people that say, how could you fall victim? It's really easy when a scammer manipulates you and emotionally kind of screws with you. But it can happen to anybody, really. Arjane, if you click message at the top of the page, and it'll take you to our inbox, or you click the messenger logo, you can inbox us. It'll be a private chat window. Just send us what you have. We'll take a look at it as soon as we can. As I said earlier, our inbox has been kind of squirrely lately. We haven't been able to get a lot of messages. I've had to use different apps to get into it. So we'll take a look at what you have. If you don't want to inbox us, you can email us. It's scammingscammers@gmail.com. I've got a couple people waiting, so it might take me a little bit to get to you, but I will answer the email inbox. I do all the email inboxes, so go ahead and send what you have, and we'll take a look at it. Happy to take a look. So we have another question. Do scammers target certain countries, and if so, why? They do. Some scammers will actually target, it depends on the scammer, but there are scammers that'll say, I'm only going to look for women from the Philippines. And so what a scammer will do is he'll create a military profile, or he'll create a profile, and he will only friend women from the Philippines. And some scammers just target a certain demographic of people. We've had scammers that only target Spanish-speaking ladies, so they'll target ladies from Mexico and South America, Spanish-speaking countries, and Spain. It depends on the scammer. It depends on what he's after. It depends on why he's doing it. Some scammers decide to try to victimize women from all over. They'll friend anybody, but then you'll see some military fake profiles that'll only friend ladies from Thailand. They just choose, and whatever's easier for them. Some scammers have this kind of thing in their head where they think that only women from Thailand will give money, so they'll just target those certain women. And unfortunately, it happens, and people fall victim. We had a scammer a couple weeks ago that only targeted women from Poland, and I had to help this lady, and she only spoke Polish, and we had to use a translator, and it took a while to convince her it's a scam. So they use a lot of tactics, and a lot of people that that are otherwise, they don't speak English very well, or they don't know how life in America is. So they'll use a military profile, and they'll tell a lady in, Poland that, hey, I'm starving, the U.S. doesn't feed us, and she'll go, I'm so sorry, I love you, here's some money. And that's what they do. They look for vulnerable people, and they try to find a way. And yeah, and Kathy, you can't judge people that are victims. I mean, it's a crime, and I get kind of irritated on our YouTube channel because we have people that, go on there and say, oh, all people that are scammed are dumb. Well, how could it happen to you? It can happen to anybody. You know, it's the same principle. Like you wouldn't make fun of somebody that was robbed at knife point in a subway. Don't make fun of a scam victim online. It's the same principle. It's the same crime. You know, it's a crime. It's a crime, and it does take a toll on you psychologically, Pamela. It does. We've had victims of romance scams that have committed suicide. We had a lady a couple of years ago, lovely lady. She was from Thailand. She was scammed out of like 30,000 US dollars, which is just a fortune for her. She cleaned houses and she took out all these loans. Her husband had died at a young age and she was in her 40s. She had 2 kids. Lovely, lovely lady. And she killed herself because this scammer messed her up so badly financially, physically, mentally, because she, you know, thought this guy loved her and was going to take care of her and her kids and they were going to have this great life. And it ended up being a 20-some-year-old Nigerian kid who scammed her and she took her own life. And, you know, Anna and myself had the last conversation with her and it was like, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. We tried everything to not have her end her life. And her sister came back a couple weeks later and said she killed herself over the scammer. So it does happen. These scammers are brutal, and it can mess you up, and it can leave you with trust issues. Sure, you know, a lot of problem is scammers tell you everything you want to hear on a fake profile. They'll romance you. They'll say you're beautiful. They'll tell you everything that a normal guy probably won't tell you. Like as guys, we don't tend to think ahead. Like some guys don't think to tell a lady that she's beautiful because her brain, you know, you don't work that way. You don't think of these things sometimes, and a scammer will come in with a fake profile. You know, let's say you were married for 25 years and your husband was kind of like Joe Blow, didn't really romance you, didn't tell you you were beautiful, didn't, you know, and let's say, you know, you've had a couple kids and you don't feel confident. Scammer will come by and say, you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Here's a Celine Dion song just for you. I wake up every day and kiss your photo and people fall for it. And they get entangled in this thing of, you know, feeling good about someone caring about them. And then when they find out it's a scam, you know, it messes you up because then in the future, a good guy might come along and then you can't trust him because you've had all this happen to you. And so, yeah, it's definitely psychologically damaging to a lot of people. And scammers are emotional manipulators. They manipulate you. You know, they do things, they say things to you that, you know, I've had victims, and Nan's had victims that have, you know, come to us and they said, I can't believe I was scammed. I would never fall for this crap. Oh my God, you know, I found myself going to Western Union at 5 o'clock at night, and I found myself going to Walmart buying iTunes cards, and I don't even know what they are. And when they wake up from the fact that they've been scammed, they say, I just loved that he loved me. And there's so many people in the world that want to be loved, and scammers know this. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. You know, it's too good to be true. It probably is, unfortunately. But don't get me wrong, because there's good guys out there too. There's, you know, I'm not a bad guy. Like I don't treat people badly, and so you know, you can't be blind to love either or shut yourself off. But at the same time, scammers definitely do victimize you and make you a little bit kind of jaded, and it's unfortunate. So I have another question somebody asked from our inbox, and I'll do a couple more questions, and then I'll probably end the Q&A for this month. I'll be doing another Q&A on YouTube maybe in the next couple of weeks. Our last one was really successful, but we had a lot of weird people in there too. To avoid wasting my time talking to a guy who could be a fake or a scammer, what are some ways I can find out right away if the person is a scammer in disguise? I don't want to waste weeks or months getting to know someone only to find out it's a scammer. It's a fair question. So there's a couple ways, and you know, it sounds so harsh, but here's the thing. There's a few red flags that you can look for right away when you're talking to someone. So let's say, give you an example, you're on Facebook. You get a friend request. You look at it, you don't know who the guy is. Look at his profile. Don't accept his friend request. Look at his profile. Go to his photo, throw it through TinEye, Google image, throw it through Yandex image search. What comes up? Oh, nothing. Okay. What does he say he does? Chat to him for 10 minutes. Don't friend him, just chat to him. You don't have to be someone's friend to chat to a person on Facebook. So chat to him. Ask him, where are you from? What do you do for a living? What's your situation? If he comes back to you and says, I'm a widow, my wife died in a car crash, cancer, childbirthing, I'm an engineer, I'm an oil rig worker, I'm an army guy, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, I'm a gold buyer, step away. Scammer. First of all, they're always widows most of the time. They'll say they're a widow. They'll also say, oh, my best friend ran off with my girl and we're divorced now and I have a tiny child. So if you're, another thing is I'm a single father. I have a tiny child. So you're talking to a guy that's, 57 years old and he has a 2-year-old child. Red flag. That's a huge red flag. But those are a few things you can look for. And also, look for their typing, their language. So if you're talking to somebody and they're a 55-year-old engineer, engineers are very smart, from Texas City, Texas, and he says to you, hello dear, am Bob by name, am engineer, am the only child of my parent, am widow, my wife died of breast cancer some years past, am having a small child, she is 2, her name is whatever, and she's away at boarding school. Block them. Usually with fake profiles, and if you get, like Ann and myself are really good, we can look at a profile and go, fake. Look at what they're saying to you. So many people come to the inbox and they say to me or say to Ann, I don't know if he's fake. Can you take a look? Here's his photo. And maybe it's a photo we haven't seen before. So I say, well, I don't know. What is he telling you? And so the person will come back and say, oh, he's a widow. He has a tiny 2-year-old child. He's 65 years old. He's a gold buyer, and he's over in Nigeria right now, and he had an accident, and he needs money for his gold buying machine. That right there tells you all you need to know, So, yeah, the best way you can tell is just what they're telling you. Chat to them for a few minutes. Chat to them. Ask them questions. And if you're not sure, if you're totally not sure, and you're like, I kind of like this guy, but I'm not sure, hey, let's video chat right now. Hit that video chat button. And if a real person has good intentions and they want to get to know you, they will video chat with you. If they won't video chat and they tell you their camera's broken, or, oh, I can't video chat, it's forbidden, or, they can't do it, then just block them. Don't even waste your time. Just boop, bye. Because whether they're real or fake, a real person who has good intentions will video chat with you. And then let's say you get them on video chat. Okay, they're on video chat. They're sitting at their desk. Tell them, hey, I see you. Wave hello to me right now. Wave hello. And if they don't wave hello on command, or you could ask them to hold their right hand up and just hold up a fist like this and just hold it up. If they don't do that, or ask them to write your name on paper and hold it up next to their face while on camera, if they don't do that and they cut off the camera or they just continue sitting there like that, end the call, block them, and be done. Don't even second guess it. I told you guys this story before. Yeah, they always have tiny children in boarding schools. I mean, I've had scammers tell me their 4-year-old child's in air pilot school. But I've told you this guy's story before. If you haven't heard it, I'll tell it real quickly. When I first met Ann, I came to this page, and a friend of mine happened to like this page, and there was a discussion. It's a long story, but I went on the page to see what it was about. And I started hanging around this page, and it was kind of fun because I didn't really know a lot about this stuff, and I dealt with other types of online criminals, but not romance scammers. So I used to hang around the page, and I would comment. And Ann one day messaged me, and she said, "Would you chat with me in the inbox?" And I said, "Sure." And we talked to each other, and she said, "I really like your humor." And she goes, I'd like to kind of get to know you on a personal level. And I said, well, I like your humor too. And I told her, she's very beautiful, and I told her, I think you're beautiful, and I'd like to get to be your friend. And what happened was we started this kind of friendship online, and one day she said to me, you know what, let's Skype. And I'd actually never used Skype before. I just was like, whatever. And I downloaded Skype, and we video chatted. And when we first video chatted, she said to me, hey, stand up, and she asked me to do something stupid, like stand up and do this, and I did. And she said, okay, you're real. And we went on from there, and we started a relationship. So, if you're serious about getting to know somebody and they're serious about you, you'll ask them to video chat and you'll ask them to do something stupid. So if I was single and I was looking for somebody online and I met somebody online that I liked, I would video chat with them. And if they asked me to take my hat off and wave my head around, or if they asked me to write their name on paper, I would do it just so I can prove to them that I am real and that my intentions are real. And so that's what you need to do. And it, you know, it may sound pushy, but really in reality, it's your time, it's your life, it's your heart. So if you really want to prove that this person is real, and they want to prove to you that they're real, they'll do something stupid on camera. You know, it doesn't have to be write your name on paper. It can be, you know, get up and flap like a chicken. You know, it doesn't matter. Or if you don't want to be direct, you can tell someone, you're on camera with them, and say, there's a huge spider right behind you on that wall. Turn around. And a real person will turn around. A fake person, a video, will just sit here still. So that's what you want to, do. A scammer asked him on video call, and he did, and he used Manicam. Yep. Manicam is like, you know, Manicam. It's stolen video footage. You can pick, like, you can type in blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl or woman or whatever, and it'll bring up a whole bunch of people on camera that's recorded webcam, and they're just maybe sitting here doing this, or they're working at their desk. And scammers use that. They save the video. It's really easy to do, and then they play it for you like a recording. And they can use video of the real person. They can dub over the voice. They can do all kinds of stuff. So that's why, you know, we say this at least once a week. If you're talking to somebody online, absolutely ask them to video chat. When you get them on video chat, ask them to do something. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you tell them, get up and get a glass of water and drink that glass of water right in front of me. A real person will do it because they want to get to know you and prove that they're real. And they may ask you to do the same thing. They may say, well, okay, I did that. Now you get up and do this or whatever. And then you start a relationship. You start a friendship. And that's the way to get it out of the way. If you're not hiding anything, you'll do it. Why not? So, yeah, you do. Pamela, you want it to be true. You know, everybody wants to be loved. Everyone wants a great relationship. That's no denying it. We're human beings. We all want to be loved, you know, or we've had bad relationships in the past and we find the perfect man or the perfect woman online. Come to find out it's a scammer, you know. They are terrible people. You know, I've had people come to me and say, hey, how can you be so cruel, because these scammers are starving. They're doing this because they're hungry. And I tell them, you know what? If a guy from Nigeria came to me as himself and said, I haven't eaten in 4 days, can you help me? My name is, and gave his real name, gave his real information, and I investigated him and made sure that, yes, he really is suffering, I would help him. I would help them long before I'd help someone using a fake profile. And I've told scammers that if you came as yourself and you genuinely needed help and you were starving, happy to help you. But the fact that, you know, a lot of these scammers who come online and they say, I scam because I'm so poor. I did an interview with a lady who moved to Nigeria. She moved to be with her scammer. And she opened up my eyes. I had a 3-hour phone conversation with her, and she told me, you know what? The really poor Nigerians don't have the internet. They don't have a phone. They don't have electricity. They don't have access to the computers. They are the ones that are suffering, not the scammers who are driving a Range Rover, who have a phone that's more expensive than my $100 phone, and who are coming online saying they're starving. And that's the big thing. It's not that, you know, we're cruel people. We want to help people. We always want to help people. And sponsors children in Africa. I've helped people. But if you're genuine, then you get more help. But if you're messing with people's emotions, then absolutely not. Wilma, does a scammer use a device to make your voice sound different when you talk to them on the phone? Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple different things that they use, and I'll cover this really quickly. There's a couple of apps. Now, there's voice changer apps. Okay. I mean, we've come a long way in technology from like the 90s. There are voice changer apps that can make a man sound like a woman sound like a man, a child sound like an adult. And they download the apps. Most of them are free. They speak into them, and then they play the recording, and it changes their voice. There's an app called Make Me American. So let's say you're from India and you have a really heavy accent. There's an app that you can talk into and say, hello, my name is Bob Smith. And it'll transfer your voice and make you sound American. It's a little bit robotic, but if you're not listening for that robotic sound, it's very convincing. We actually played a couple clips on our YouTube channel of a scammer using that app. So yeah, there are apps that make you sound different. There are apps that disguise your accent, and there are scammers who, you know, disguise their accent. I had a scammer from Ghana one time who called me, and he was pretending to be an Asian man. He used a photo of, I forgot his name, it was like, John Wong or something. And he was using a stolen photo of an Asian gentleman. And he told me he was Chinese. And the guy in the photo wasn't Chinese, but okay. And when he talked to me, he was trying to talk to me with a Chinese American accent, where someone that, came from China and was learning English, and they have a certain accent. And I said, "What's wrong with your voice?" And he was from Ghana, but he was trying to disguise himself as a Chinese American. So they do try a lot of different things. You'd be absolutely surprised. I've had a scammer who actually pretended to be a child. And so he called me as the daughter. And it was a grown 25-year-old scammer, but he was trying to talk to me like a little child. And it was the most funniest thing I've ever heard. But they try anything. They try anything. But, it's hard. It's hard. And people, I've had, and myself have had victims that have talked to scammers, for 4, 5, 6, 7 years. We had one lady a couple years ago. For 8 years, she talked to this man online, and she didn't know he was fake. She was sending him gift cards and money and all kinds of stuff, and he was, away working. And they do it for years. If they can get money from you, if they can get something from you, they'll talk to you for eternity. They'll never stop. Can an app make someone stutter and be mentally challenged? Not that I'm aware of, but I mean, there's a lot of apps out there. There's probably a stutter app, or an app that changes your voice tone and your voice, capability. I wouldn't be surprised. I've personally not seen one, but up until a month ago, I'd never heard of the Americanized app. So I'm sure there are. I'm sure there's tons of apps, and as technology grows, a lot of this technology is geared towards helping scammers, and it's true. Same with Cash App. Cash App is an app that you can send money to someone's bank account instantly. It makes it easy because you can just sign up with an anonymous name and boom, the money's there. So yeah, as technology grows, the scammers are it's getting easier for them. They don't have to go to Western Union anymore, and most scammers don't go to Western Union anymore. They just Cash App, or they just use PayPal, or they use whatever they can find to use to get money. So yeah, definitely as technology goes, it's getting worse, and it'll continue happening, but less and less are going to pick up money, and more are actually just using apps to get their money. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's very true. So, but that was all the questions in our inbox that someone sent. If you guys have any questions in the chat, I'm happy to answer them. Pamela, what did you? So Pamela, I'm working with Pamela right now to try to get her scammer, figure out who he is. As you guys know, I talk as Betty, the country lady, on a lot of our voice chat apps, and a lot of our dating profiles, I should say. And so I'm going to check after the Q&A and try to see if I can get a hold of your scammer and figure out who he is. I have prompted him to let him know I'm going to send him some money. So as soon as we finish this, I'm going to check and see if he does it. But and absolutely, people say, cut ties, and we tell people block. Sometimes people have a hard time doing it because they've been talking to a person for so long that they want answers, and it takes time, to close that chapter of your life, because to a lot of people the relationship was very, very real, and it was very real. So it can take people sometimes longer than usual to do it. But yeah, you definitely need to block. Find out someone's a scammer, you need to block them. I mean, I know a lot of people want to know who they were, and some people, as we've said before, they want to find the man in the stolen photo. Some people are obsessed with that, and it ends up they get scammed again because they find the real man in the photo, but it's not the real man, it's another scammer, and we've talked about that a million times. Is there a way I can find out if he's a scammer myself? Absolutely. If you go to our page and you go under the notes section, there's notes, step-by-step instructions on how to check profiles, how to investigate somebody. Everything we do, you can do yourself. It's just a matter of learning how to do it. The notes section on our page tells you how to do all this stuff. So if you want to investigate a profile, you can check yourself under all the notes, and it tells you how to do it, how to check numbers, how to check email, how to find out what the person's saying, how to check a URL, because a lot of times the URL tells you who you're talking to. So yeah, definitely. If you have any questions, you can inbox us, and we'll try to help you. All my scammers are contacting me on Instagram. How can I get their info to you? So really easy. If you're on the page, click the message icon or click message. It'll take you to our inbox. It's just, the inbox looks just like it would if you were chatting to a friend on Facebook. It's just a little message box. Send us all the information you have. Anna and myself will take a look at it, and we'll post them if they're fake, or we'll help you look through them and see what they're about. If you want to email them, you can email them to us at scammingscammers@gmail.com. But with the email, keep in mind, I only check the email every couple of days because we get so many inboxes, but I will respond to you. It just might take me a little bit longer. So if you want to do it on Facebook, just click message, send it over. Pamela, mine was never mean, just really pushy. Some scammers are not mean. You know what? I've talked to some scammers before as Betty, as my fake profile, and I've had great conversations with them. Like, if they weren't scammers, I'd probably be friends with them because they were just funny, or they were kind, or they had a lot in common with me. I mean, just, music, movies, whatever. Some scammers are not mean. Some scammers are very sweet and very, very kind, but very forward and very aggressive as far as, please, I need the money. You're killing me. You're taking away from my life. How can you be so cruel? They flip the script on you and make you feel like you're the bad guy. So, I mean, every scammer is different. I've had scammers that have just outright, boom, I'm going to kill you if you don't give me the money. And then I've had scammers that are sweet and funny. I mean, they're different personalities. Some of them are really nice. Some of them are pretty nasty. It depends on who they are. It depends on how long they've been doing it. It depends on what they want from you. It depends on, what their financial situation is. If you've got a scammer that's got 5 victims on the hook and they're getting money from the other 3 victims, they're going to take their time with you. They're going to play with you and go, oh, honey, oh, dear, it's fine. But, I could really use an iTunes card. But if not, it's okay. That means they have income coming in elsewhere. They're not desperate. The desperate ones are nasty. Sarah, I'm using a singing app. Good night, Phyllis. I'm using a singing app called Smule. I'm starting to get a lot of scammers messaging me. It's really annoying, especially because there's no way to report them or see a photo. Perfect anonymous environment for scamming. Have you heard about this? We've had a few people that have come to our inbox with using that particular app and said, hey, I'm finding scammers on here. Yeah, they're on there. They're on every app. They're on Fitbit. Someone asked me yesterday how to report a Fitbit, and I'm still checking how to do that. But they're on every single app. They're not just on dating sites. They're on Fitbit sites. They're on fitness sites. They're on singing apps. They're on game apps. They're on, this sounds ridiculous. I have a dumb app on my phone, which is just, I love paranormal stuff. And I have an app on my phone. It's like a ghost app where it shows you where there's haunted buildings all over the United States. And you can join and discuss. There's scammers on there. I've had scammers contact me through there, and I'm thinking, well, gosh, they're everywhere, and there's no way to get around them other than, you block them if you can. If you can't report them, ignore them. That's the best thing to do. Let's see. Have you guys seen Facebook's new security feature? The security check has you do a video selfie. I've not seen it, no. I haven't had that yet. I made my own avatar today, but no, I haven't seen that. That would be a great feature, and I think it should be required. I mean, that would be wonderful. I've not seen it yet, but I'll take a look and see if it's on my on mine yet. But no, I've not seen that feature, but I will look into it for sure. But also that can have a negative effect too, because what scammers do is they use stolen video. And so they'll steal your video and they'll make a profile with your video, and they'll play that video like a recording for Facebook and go, here I am, my name's Bob Smith. It can backfire on them as well. So you never know. But yeah, Pamela, me too. I have lots of stories. So, but anyway, thank you guys for coming to our Q&A. If you guys have any questions, drop them now. Otherwise, I'm going to end the Q&A. I'm supposed to have some pretty bad weather heading this way in the next couple hours, so I'm going to get off of here pretty soon. But I appreciate you guys coming to the Q&A. I will have a Q&A on our YouTube channel, Scamming Scammers, hopefully in the next week or two, depending on how things go. With COVID-19, I'm still home. I'm still not working yet. I've been off work since March 17th, so it's been pretty brutal. But hope everybody's staying healthy, staying well, and is doing okay. And hope the world gets better and better as time goes on. Says, mine got verbally abusive when I refused to send. He wanted to be more than friends. Some do get verbally abusive. I've had scammers talk to Betty, and within 10 minutes they said, can I have an iTunes card? And I tell them I don't even know you, and then they just start slamming me with threats and things like that. Scammers like that are desperate. They're really desperate for money, so that's why they do it. How can someone get into your phone and accounts and use your pics? Really easily. If you're talking to somebody online and you happen to give them your Gmail account, sometimes they hack into those. If you gave them your password, or if you gave them a code. Some scammers have you send a code to your phone, and they'll say, dear, I need this code because I need to verify, and they'll just make up an excuse like, I need to verify my work thing, and it's a code. If you give them that code, a lot of times what they're doing is when they send that code to your phone, they're actually trying to get into your Gmail. And so you send them that code, they enter that code, it allows them into your Gmail, and they change your password. And that's another reason why they ask you for these codes. So it's really easy for them to do it. Also, if they ask to log into your accounts, like your Verizon or your T-Mobile accounts, they'll get into it and they'll just change your passwords to everything. They'll lock you out of your own phone. So it can happen. It happens often. It comes down to protecting your password, protecting your information. If you get a code, a random code sent to your phone, it'll come on your text. And it'll say, code to Gmail or code to blah, blah, blah. Please enter this code. Don't give the code to anybody. So if you're talking to somebody online and you get a text for a code, don't answer it. Don't get into it. Don't do nothing with it, because that's a scammer either trying to get into your email, your Facebook, your Instagram, verify their fake profile by using your phone number. So never give out a code to anybody if you get a code texted to you. I agree, Ann. Time to go to Australia. I wish I could. Right now, I'm afraid to get on an airplane and fly to California, and that's only an hour away. So it's a scary time for sure. Says, can I send a photo of one of the one wants to be more than friends? Yeah. If you guys want to send anything, you're more than welcome. Or you guys, Pamela, and she's replying to Pamela. If you guys want to send us anything, you're free to do so. And if you guys want to do your own thing to each other, that's great. But thanks to everybody. Thanks coming all the way from Thailand. Appreciate you guys. You guys, it's a beautiful country as well. So thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. I'm going to end this Q&A now, and I will hit the inbox. Ann will hit the inbox, and we will help you guys. If you have any questions, you can inbox them to us. We'll answer. If I missed any of your questions, I apologize. Again, we'll do this Q&A again next month for June. The year's half over, and it's just been a crazy year. We'll do a YouTube Q&A in a week or two, depending on what's going to go on. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for everything you do. You guys stay safe, stay healthy, be very careful, and don't give out information about yourself to people you don't know online. It's easy to do, but don't do it. Thanks, you guys. Much love to you guys. I hope you guys are safe and healthy and careful. And Ann says hello. She's been watching from her living room. So we'll see you guys next time. Stay safe, and we're here if you need us. You guys have a good night. Be healthy. Wear your mask. Bye.